My name is Ron Lawrence, record producer, also representing Old School, New School Rules. Money, Power, Respect. There was really no story behind it from the beginning. It just turned into something at the end. Puffy had this room in Bad Boy. It was called the MIDI room. And the MIDI room was a room that you had to go in there to work. And if you created a beat, then the artist would get billed for it. And me, Derek, Nasheem, we were all in that room together. And Jay Garfield, who, he carried a bunch of records. And I had asked Jay Garfield, I was like, yo, what you got in that stash? And he pulled out this one record. It was a Dexter Marzal record. D-Dot was in the studio with me, and then he helped elaborate with me with the chop. Once the chop was done, there was really nothing left to do at that point because we worked on it so long, and there's this thing called producer's block. It's like writer's block where you just can't figure out what to do next. And sometimes you just have to just walk away when you feel that you're not being creative and you can't push any further. So we walked away from the sample and left it alone. What Derek did was he took the record and let the Lox hear it. Now, mind you, it's not finished. It's just a skeleton of a sample. There's no drums, there's no bass, there's no hi-hat, there's nothing. As he takes the record, gives it to them, they go in the studio and put lyrics to it the way it is, as is. But this is how they were doing records back then. The crazy thing was they entrusted the producers at the end of the day because you wouldn't know where the record was going or how it was going to turn out. But they put those lyrics on that record the way it was, along with DMX and Lil Kim. Maybe a month or so later, I get a call from this engineer. His name is Tony Maserati. Tony Maserati is an engineer who did most of the engineering for a lot of those records at Bad Boy at the time, along with Prince Charles Alexander. And he called me and said, Joe, I'm about to mix this record, Money, Power, and Respect. It's just a skeleton of a sample. I can't finish the record the way it is. You're going to have to come in here and you're going to have to do something to this record. So I'm looking at the time. I'm one of them early bird dudes. I go to bed early and I wake up early. So it's like 10 o'clock. And I'm like, well, shit, I'm in bed. But I don't want to miss the opportunity because the record doesn't get done properly. Then it's not going to be hot. I'm living in West Orange. I hop on a highway. I shoot over to Midtown Tunnel, get to Daddy's house. And I told him all the equipment that I needed. MPC 3000, the JV 2080, keyboard module. I had to finish the record. And I had to add all the drums. I had to add the bass. I had to add everything. It just took the record to a whole other level. And Tony was able to mix the record and finish it off. Nobody had even heard the record. I was the first one to hear the record completed that way. And people don't know, that's not even the first single to the album. The first single was If You Think I'm Jiggy. But when Money, Power, Respect dropped, they had to name that song after the album. They went a whole different direction. That was the second single, and that became the title song to the album. The impact of that song on so many levels is ridiculous. I mean, so much is said about money, power, and respect. The Scarface movie just changed the game for a lot of things. And that song is the epitome of a Scarface line. And you remember that line with Scarface when he's on the beach and girl slapped him, he goes, lesbians, pop. Well, that's where that line comes from. First you get the money, then you get the pussy, then you get the power. They flipped it. First you get the money, then you get the power. Once you get the power, motherfuckers respect you. But that line is so powerful when it comes to hip hop, it's a staple. It's just global. And then having DMX on that record, DMX comes in towards the end and just takes it home. And he just killed it.
This is a beat that I can freak and just drop the rails. Bless a nigga with the ill. Y'all niggas know my skill.
Kim didn't really have a verse. She carried that record with that chorus.
Key to life, 1 pound respect, what you need in life. 1 pound respect, what you eating right. 1 pound respect.
The Lox, Jadakiss, Styles, and Sheek.
Hey yo, my whole clique bout it. We take yours while you pout about it. Truck, step out the horse.
That record will forever be a classic. Everybody always remembers Money, Power, and Respect. You can't forget it.